Okay, where am I? Where am I? Am I here? Am I here? I think I might be here. Hello, welcome back. I want to say thank you to everybody who has been checking in and watching my videos, and everybody that's new. I've had a big influx of followers. We got over 500, which I am very, very grateful for. Talking about The Last of Us. Thanks a lot for all the views. Thanks a lot for all of the wonderful, thoughtful, long comments that I am kind of wish I had some of those ideas myself. Anyways, I just want to say thanks to everybody who took the time to comment, took a time to like, took time to then watch my short film, Nowhere to Go, afterwards, because there's some people that said immediately came over here, watched this. It made me feel great that people aren't just watching my critiques, they're also watching my work. So thank you. And if you haven't, the link's also in the description. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Aaron Murray Vasquez. I'm a filmmaker here in New York City and in the Hudson Valley. Let's get started. Today, you and I, are going to talk about Materialists, the new A24 Killer Films movie. What a film. What a film. I just want to say right off the gate, we're going to fully spoil this movie, but not yet. I will give you a spoiler warning. I want to first talk about how this movie did so well in the marketing to me and my friends. Obviously, Pedro Pascal has just been kind of like a really good example of like a good man. He chooses a lot of good parts. You can tell he's really fun to work with. He's a very, proud supporter of his sister. He's a proud supporter of a lot of just like progressive movements. And with a man, we don't really get examples like that very often. Like I had a Do Talk a couple of episodes back. If you don't know what that is, that's just me talking to the guys about my perspective. But that one was about learning to let go of your heroes. I grew up as a gigantic Kanye fan, a gigantic Shia LaBeouf fan, a gigantic Conor McGregor fan. I've had to let them go. Forever Kanye West has inspired me and now horrifies me. We have somebody like Pedro who has risen up the ranks through hard work, through good relationships, through humor, style, bravery. New heroes will emerge for you based on who it is you want to be. And so that was the first thing that got me excited about Materialist is I fucking love this dude. And there's something about him climbing up the stairs of, I think, this film, saying how he was a bougie.
Hell no. I am a lazy 50-year-old bougie bitch. What, you don't want to go and get like two?
How he was a bougie bitch. I was like, fucking love this dude. So anyways, they got me with the Pedro stuff. I loved him. Kodak Johnson is like an internet meme. I love Past Lives. I really loved watching that. And I will say, just as a general review, it's heavy on the rom, loose and oddly placed at the com, and much more dram. And Materialist felt way more like a play. So this is still non-spoiler stuff. Intriguing conversations that you're just sitting there listening to beautiful people talk. And it felt like a play. And that's just my light. That's my quick and light. Jesus, so long. That's my quick and light suggestion, review. I'm not sure, but either way, I gave it a 4.5 stars on Letterboxd. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. It was a really entertaining movie. And I think you should go see it at a local theater. Okay, clear out, everybody. Clear out. We're doing spoilers. Spoilers. Okay, spoilers. We're clearing out. You gotta go, all right? Because I'm gonna spoil it in what? 3, 2, 1. Okay, that opening scene, I was real iffy about. That opening scene was so iffy. Like the caveman, this was a very interesting intro. The caveman. That felt like it was the odd comedy stuff was happening. Anyways, when it comes back at the end, I think it's meant to say that it's like a primal aspect, a primal aspect to love, and also like some sort of eternal inevitability of people just getting together. I think one of the big things that was sort of shocking to me was how much this film was about money. This is the money section. So if you look underneath here in the title on your playhead, it should say the money section. I've segmented this stuff down here so you can, click on chapters and stuff. That's a good YouTuber. Money is on the forefront of every single conversation. And for a movie that's about romance and love, it was really interesting to see how much money was at the forefront of everything. Being valuable. You remember that he makes you feel valuable scene? What y'all think about that? I don't know if I'm like a fool, but I loved it. She was like, give me 5 minutes, and in 5 minutes, with like three things said, Dakota Johnson's character just like, I gotta find out Dakota Johnson's character. I only know Pedro Pascal's character's name because he had a great name. John and Lucy. That's right, Lucy. Oh my God, I forgot about that. Lucy is able to patch everything up and get the wedding going. And in this wedding, she meets Harry. You know this. We're in the spoiler section. Great name. Pedro Pascal, who is just stunning. The dude has been crisped up. So much so that it feels out of place how charismatic, how good looking. It feels so out of place, but also doesn't freak you out at all. It makes you kind of want to like embrace him because of how chill everything is. But even that is a function of money, because early on we hear about this experimental break legs theory that you can grow 6 inches. I don't know if this is true. I don't know how it would compensate for the arms also having to get longer. And I think this is kind of a story thing. Harry has the money to do these things, and therefore that enables him financially to change things about himself that other people do not have the access or the ability or the network or the framework to do these things. Specifically, poor people. And Lucy acknowledges this when she's like, yeah, whoa, 6 inches? That's a game changer. That would totally flip your whole market out. You know what I mean? And so her character knows how valuable this is. She meets Harry, who has done this, and it has changed his life because Lucy ends up being right. This has changed Harry and his brother's life, this procedure that they did together. And on the other hand, we have Jake. Is it Jake? John. Is it John? It's John. We have John, who is almost as handsome as Pedro, has the height, has all of the things, but he's got no money. He's got no prospects, not much talent, and no value, which is why he's perpetually single the whole time. And both relationships, Harry, John, Lucy has compartmentalized both of them. One as an unchecked box, and one as a car she can sell. I mean, that's kind of how the movie frames it. Frames it in a very clinical way. I wrote down that it's kind of a defense mechanism to keep them both at bay, to keep love at bay, and to make it clean and clinical. She tells Harry, you can do way better than me. And she tells John that I'm always going to want money. It's always going to be important to me, and you have none. And I don't know how I feel about that. I'm still kind of working through it, to be honest. I felt like John for such a long time in my life. I really love how Celine Song writes both of these characters. Both of these characters have something that they struggle with. John has never made much money in his life, despite him trying. Harry has an unfortunate case of being short in a society that uplifts and values tall people. And one has the money to change that, and one doesn't, because all it would require is money. And so both characters are sort of victims of society. I mean, I don't want to get too deep, but I felt like that. I mean, having felt like John for such a long time, and sometimes still do, sometimes you feel like you're doing everything you can, and you try to push through these challenges of making money, of making things on the internet, of making things for companies and blah, 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 like running around, playing whack-a-mole, paid with paychecks. That's really stressful to always be in. But on the flip side, even a man with everything has something he can't change about himself, his height. Through this experimental process, he had the ability to change that, but he went through this painful experience to be more valuable to people, to be more valuable in society. Math. I was surprised how much math was said in this film. I think this is a really good premise of like trying to think of love as math through the eyes of somebody that has to put two and two together. The way she breaks down similar backgrounds, similar money, moderate attractiveness to each other, all those things. You hear that on Love Island. You hear that on Love Island. She's fit, she's a bird, all that stuff. Love is sort of written in that way here, which I find kind of refreshing because you can feel how cynical it is when it's being brought out. You can hear how cynical everybody thinks Lucy is. Okay, I'm on page 3 of 4. One more page to go. And one of the things this film does is it doesn't have like a clear route. This movie really meanders a lot. It speeds up, it slows down, it takes all these detours, but I loved that. I loved that. Celine Song built such a wonderfully unique world in a very, very picked over kind of city story genre stuff. It is a refreshingly delightful movie to just be in because she crafts these worlds that are as like atmospheric as like Luca Guadagnino or Guadagnino. Luca. They're as atmospheric as, films like Call Me By Your Name and Challengers, but they just vibrate at a different frequency. Sophie L, that is a character I do remember her name because she comes up early and often. She's like a down on her luck, late 30s candidate that's kind of been with Lucy for a long time and they've been working together for a long time to try to get this match for her. And Sophie's only like slightly less picky than the guy she wants. And you can tell Lucy really is invested in Sophie, but also is kind of jaded by some of the things not going well in Sophie's path. Something terrible happens to Sophie. You know what it is I'm talking about if you've seen the movie. That was fucked up. We don't ever get to see it, but we can feel it just by not seeing it. There's a like way that it like has a shockwave. That traumatic event leads Lucy to like lose confidence in herself, in her practice, in her judgment, in her company, in the process that she uses. She never really discloses any of this to Harry, who she's dating at this point. But when she breaks down, she goes to John, and I can't really figure out why. Can you leave me in the comments as to why she went back to John first instead of Harry? My best guess is that Harry, being a unicorn and like a box checking beast, has like a level of shallowness that Lucy just can't push through. Whereas there is no facade on John. You can see right through him. And this kind of like shocked her awake into how serious this profession actually is. She calls her a pimp at one point. Jesus. More drum, I told you. It's a lot more drum. Here's my dude talk for today. I'll keep it short. Don't you ever assault somebody like this. Okay, let's move on. As a guy, I wanted to recommend it to other guys because I promise you this is a good film to watch. This and Past Lives, they really have a good way of shaping masculinity in a way that isn't destructive. It's more secure. This movie does a really good job of portraying some of the like outrageousness like men have for what they want in a partner versus what a woman wants in a partner in return. And I think Celine Song does a really great job of introducing that vision of what masculinity can be in both her films, and I think she did a great job. It kind of emphasizes with the plight of like the flawed man, my boys, my short kings, my bald dogs, my hustlers, my hoopers, my scoopers, my skaters, everybody in between. And it does what like a lot of good matchmaking movies do, which is to like empathize with regular Joes, while also saying, hey, regular Joe, let's pick it up, let's put some pieces together here. And it does all of this in a very beautiful Celine Song way, which is to say it is gorgeous. The 5'9" stuff was killing me, though. The 5'9" stuff was killing me. I'm actually 5'8". I'm actually 5'8", so I'm kind of super comfortable with that, I've never really been ashamed of being 5'8", because it's nothing I could change. And if you're shorter than me, there's great things about you. There's great things about you that they can't see. I'm pointing up. That's so fucked up. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog, baby. And I believe in you. My recommendation of this movie is coming as a solo experience. I did not go with people to watch this. It was just me. My wife's out of town. And I sat next to somebody who was on a date, and I was so, because there's these grand romantic overtures that, opine on marriage 1 year, 5 years, 10 years down the line. And I'm sitting there being like, yup, facts. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying not to be too loud because the people next to me are on a, like, maybe first date, maybe like fourth date. And they don't need to be thinking about that stuff. I need to just shut up sometimes when I'm at the theater, but also because I just, was so profound that I wanted to know like what they thought about afterwards. But if you were on a date, if you watched this with somebody that you were romantic with, can you leave something in the comments that tells me what and where was said? Because I'm super curious to know, like, did it push you closer towards that person? Did it push you away? Did some person remind you of an ex? Did this person, did it not work for you, kind of thing? I want to know how the people that went on dates, please leave it in the comments, how that went afterwards. What were those conversations like? As you can tell, I am still thinking this movie through, and I'm still have this movie on the brain because there are so many scenes that I want to talk about, but I just don't want to overinflate this video. But like the scene of the guy who wants a 27-year-old. Do you remember that scene? God, that's what I'm talking about. Like that kind of masculinity is framed feels like that's how it should be framed. That kind of like patheticness of wanting somebody that you could subdue and misunderstands women. Anyways, this is the outro. I'm trying to outro this. Okay. Please let me know again what your thoughts are on this film. Please like and subscribe. I'm also kind of giving you way too much information. Hopefully you guys like that because we're here to hang out, right? We're here to hang out. Watch my short film, Nowhere to Go. I've put it in the description, the link, and you can also rate it 5 stars on Letterboxd. And what other movie should I review? I'm thinking of just kind of keeping things currently. I might watch, oh God, but I don't want to watch Superman. I mean, I do, but I don't want to review it. I do not want to review Superman. I do not want to become a superhero kind of reviewer. I'm not going to do that, by the way. YouTube is so weird. Okay. Bye.